I'm Dawn and welcome back to my channel. So today I decided to do a video because I've been getting a lot of people who have been asking me about what it takes to become an expat. And there are some things I think that need to be discussed generally for anyone that wants to expat to another country. But then there's also some things that would be specific to France. So let's get started. First and foremost, these first two things are going to sound like they're a cliche, but they're not a cliche because you just have to understand that when you leave whatever country you're leaving from to go to another country, there's going to be many types of cultural shocks. And so the best way to prepare yourself is to prepare yourself mentally. So I expated from the United States, Atlanta, Georgia, to France. And I did come over and I visited France before. And then I also came back and I went to pastry school last year. So I was able to be here for a period of time that allowed me to really see the cultural differences and the difference in the way of life over here, which caused me to love it enough that within a year I was out of there. So let's get started. First and foremost, you need to really take a look into yourself. This may sound very cliche, but you really need to determine what makes you really happy. So in order to do that, it has to be where you really need to say, how do I envision myself? How do I see living my life where even the thought of you envisioning yourself that way just puts your body in a whole different, calm, relaxed, happy state. Just at the thought of living it in that particular way. You need to determine what really makes you happy. Happiness and success are two different things. In the United States, happiness has been pumped to equal success, which is why we overwork ourselves, which is why we overextend ourselves financially. We have big houses we don't need. We have luxury cars that we don't need. And I'm not judging anybody because if that's your cup of tea, then that's great, if that truly does make you happy. But you have to really take a look at it and say, am I really truly happy? And you have to figure that out. Once you figure out what truly would make you happy, then you would know what kind of lifestyle you want to live and where you would need to be to live that particular type of lifestyle. For me, it was not the United States. I did not want to, for the rest of my life or well into my 60s or my 70s, I didn't want to be hustling every day. I wasn't trying to run after the dollar. I wasn't trying to be a multimillionaire. I wasn't trying to, I've done the big houses. I've done the fancy cars. And it does not make you happy if that's not, your natural disposition is not inclined to be happy because of material things. I loved freedom. I loved being able to control most of my time. I loved being able to do the things I wanted to do. I love being able to do the creative things that I love to do. And so when I pictured myself and what made me happy and true to me, it was being in a more peaceful state of mind and being, not always being rushed, being able to take my time to do the things that I want to do, to be able to actually look at something that's here right now and not just quickly walk by it. For me to be able to do my painting, my drawing, my baking, everything that puts me in a state of just feeling blissfully happy. And I knew that I could not accomplish that in the United States. So first and foremost, that's the first thing I will say is, cliche as it may sound, you have to know what it is that you want to really make yourself happy. You got a lot of people out there, we see it all the time. They got the title, they got the big house, they got the big, the fancy car, they got the 2 kids and the dog and the white picket fence, and they are not happy. They have money that they can buy and shop, and they are not happy. Why? Because they're not being true to themselves and what they really, really want or what would really make them happy. And that's because we have been trained that way, at least in the United States, for such a long period of time. This is what that definition is. And what people need to start to do is you need to make the definition for yourself. What is your definition of happiness? Not what someone else's definition is, what society's definition is. What is your definition of being happy? And that's the first and foremost thing. The second thing I will say in being expat is when you move from one country to another country, Expectations. You cannot come from one country, whether it be Brazil, whether it be Central America, United States. It's the only thing that I can talk about. You cannot come from the United States and come to another country and expect, number one, everybody to know English. Number two, expect to get the same items, services, the way the government operates as the same way as you did in the United States. If you do that and you compare constantly, well, in the United States, they answered the emails quicker. In the United States, the websites are better. You will be miserable. And what is the point of going somewhere else to try to attain and keep that happiness when you're constantly going to be comparing and making yourself miserable? Oh, the apartments are smaller. Yes, they are smaller. They actually are smaller here in France. You can find some big ones. This is a big apartment that I'm in right now. You can find some big ones, but the majority of them that you will be able to afford will probably be smaller. But hey, what's wrong with that? Think about it. The whole mentality over here is different than in the United States. They're not about big, grandiose. They're not about the big cars. You don't see a lot of big cars over here at all. So first thing is you're going to have to stop comparing and make sure you're willing to unprogram yourself in regards to, and it's going to take a lot. It's not easy. Unprogram yourself in regards to your mindset and how you think living in the United States and then coming to another country and trying to bring those things here. It's just not going to happen. I'm going to be honest. I used to hate Hunters International. I liked it in the beginning, but every time I saw an American go to a Caribbean country, my people are from the Caribbean, or go to another country and they're like, oh, this is so not modern. Oh, I'd like this to be bigger. You're bringing that American mentality to another country. Just like you don't want people coming to the United States and not trying to adapt or adjust based on the United States, why should you be able to go to another country and do that to that country? Why would they not expect you to be able to adapt? So those two things are the biggest things. Number three, I would say definitely if you are moving to another country, I don't even know what the word is, but it just behooves me when people move to another country and they do not try to know about or immerse themselves into the culture of that country, especially language. If you're moving to another country, obviously it's going to be a different language. You need to make an attempt to learn the language. It really bothers me when I see expats, especially from the United States, expect everyone to know English and go to another country and just don't even bother or try to or attempt to learn the language that's there. To me, that is the most ridiculous thing and a little disrespectful. If you're going to go to this country, France or whatever other country, you need to respect their culture. You need to immerse. You need to know about the laws. You need to try to learn the language. You need to know about their cultures. You need to know about the little things, friend circles. When you go to someone's house, do you bring something? What do you bring? How do you greet people? These are things that you should know and you should try to and want to learn when you move to another country. So those are the general things that I feel that you should have. And then a fourth thing I will also say is, depending on how you are making the move, is definitely, if you think it's something you want to do, I would definitely start putting up some savings. The cost of living will probably be much less. However, who wants to come to another country to immediately start to try to be stressed out about finding a job? You're just doing the same thing that you did or you are trying to leave in the United States, is that stress factor. So I would definitely put up and save, if possible, I would save a year's worth so that you can at least know that if you come here, you can relax for that year and figure things out, or 6 months, and that when you come over, you are not going to be strapped for cash. So although people are like, oh, you can drop everything and move, some people do it, but I just don't think that it's a wise thing to do. I think that there is some planning that should take place. And definitely, if you don't want to come over to another country and then now you're worried about how you're going to pay your Airbnb or your rent, I suggest that you definitely save up to, I will say, a year's worth. If you can save a year's worth of your salary, or if you look into what the average cost to rent an apartment and monthly what you may spend, and save up a year's worth of that, then I think that that would put you in a much better, relaxed, and a much controlled state when you go to that country, because now you can control the speed in which you're going to move. And I guarantee you it will be a much better experience than coming over and within a month or two stating, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I have to find a way to make some money. That's not the objective here. So those are the 4 basic things I think everyone should look into and prepare for when trying to expat. Now we'll go to France. Every country is different with their visas, and some countries make it easy, but France is one of those countries that they make everything difficult. No matter what, they're just difficult people. I don't know why, but they like being difficult. So it is very difficult to get a visa to come to France sometimes. There's several different visas. You can come over on a long-term visitor visa. You can come over on a long-term student visa. You can come over as a retiree. You can come over as an entrepreneur, small business, big business. You can come over on a talent visa. And there are several different classifications under the talent visa. However, you also have to research that to see the renewal time frame for those particular visas and the process that you have to go through and the documents, and whether once your visa is up, if you're the kind of visa that would have to go back to the United States if you wanted to stay and do the process all over again, or if you wanted to change your visa. Is it a visa that you would have to go back to the United States in order for you to change it? Or is it the type of visa that at the end you can easily renew it here in France, or you can change the status of your visa here in France? So you would go on the France Department of Ministry's website, and they will list all the different types of visas and what you would need to get that particular type of visa, the documentation and everything. I am here on a long-term student visa. I've done that once before when I was in the pastry program. And to me, it's one of the easier ways to get to France and be able to stay long-term. But I'm not just a student in vain. I am actually taking classes, and you will have to show proof of that to the visa, to the consulate. So it doesn't have to be like a major university. You don't have to be getting a degree. I did a pastry program last year. I'm doing French classes this year. However, if you are going to apply for a long-term student visa, which means any type of schooling or education that's going to be 3 months, a 3-month program or longer, you must go through Campus France. And they will not tell you that, and it's not very obvious. And I get a lot of people ask me that question. So yes, you are going to go on the Campus France website. You are going to fill out, you're going to register, you're going to fill out the information, you're going to have to provide them with documentation, and then they're going to actually look over your paperwork, and you will have a phone interview with them. And Campus France has to approve you for you to get a visa, because for you to go to the visa office to get a long-term student visa, you have to have a completed application and approval letter from Campus France. Let me say that again. You have to go through Campus France if you're doing a long-term student visa, because you have to give them that letter from Campus France that says, hey, we're going to let you in, you're approved. So you must go through Campus France, and they have their own website, and it's a little wonky to navigate through, but just go through it, register, put your information in. I would suggest that you probably know which school you're going to and contact them and see if it's okay. And then, they have lists of schools, and if your school's not there, you can list the school and what you're going for. And again, once you have your interview process, after that, they will let you know whether they approve you to come over to France for your studies or not. Once you get that letter, then it's time to get that visa application going. And there are a lot of documents that you have to provide. You have to provide financials, meaning if you're a business, depending on which business you're doing, you have to maybe do a business plan as a student. You can only, the good thing about the difference between a long-term visitor visa and a long-term student visa is that with the long-term student visa, you're actually able to work part-time, 24 hours max a week. So that is something to really look into if you think you might need to make some money once you come over here, or you want to make a little bit of money because you can travel a little bit more. I would suggest a long-term student visa, but you will also have to show that being over here and you are not working, that you have enough money saved up that you'll be able to support yourself for the year, 6 months, however many months it is that you're going to be here. So it is important that you go through Campus France. It is important that you do have, again, like I talked about from the beginning, it is better to have money saved up. And once you do the student visa, and then you supply it, all your information to the visa centers. A lot of them use visa centers now to do the visa process. It's not directly to the consulate. Then you will get an in-person interview where you will go and you will, even when you may upload it on the website, you're going to turn in all those documents. And the turnaround rate has decreased substantially since last year. So you can get your visa approval or denial within a week or 2 or 3, depending on the center that you go to. Some people may have to go to another state in order to do their interview. But once you get that, then you're footloose and fancy free, and you've got your visa and you're ready to go to whatever country you want to go to, or if you're coming to France, to come to France. But I will say, before coming to France, it is very wise that you should at least, even if it's free, there are a lot of apps out there. I use Duolingo, which was friggin' great. And then there's a podcast I listened to, which was called Coffee Break French. There's also a website called Lawless French. These are all great websites that you can start to teach yourself French, so that when you get over here, you may want to take a course. If you're going to come over here to take French classes, you will know something and you will be able to understand a little bit, and you're not totally starting from scratch. So that was really helpful, because when I came last year and I was going from Paris to the south of France, which is where I went to school, I was in the train station and the security guy came up to me and started talking to me. And it's funny because I knew what he was saying, but he was actually flirting, because he was asking me where I was from. He was asking me if I was married, if I had kids, all in French. And I understood it just by me doing those apps and listening to those podcasts. So those are the heavy hitter things, I think, for you to even get over here. Of course, a whole nother video would be on once you get here, getting a phone, bank account. Those things will be on a separate video. But yeah, that's the process. If you make up in your mind that you really, 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 really want to expat, start making, taking some steps now. Again, mentally, you have to prepare yourself. They don't have air conditioning here in France. So if you're thinking you're coming over here and you're going to get an apartment that's air conditioned, they don't do central air and heat. You may or you may not. If you get into an older building, you won't. If you get into a newer building, you will. But then you have the cost of that. So just start kind of doing a little research and mentally preparing yourself. And if you really know it's something you want to do, I would definitely suggest start saving that money so that you can come over here and you can breathe as an expat in France or in whatever country it is you decide to escape to. So thanks for watching, and until the next time, au revoir.